Hello and welcome into Zach's Picks. I'm Zach McCullough, back for a full slate of college football. Week 9 is here upon us. And this week there are 8 games. Last week there were only 5. So we'll have a few more games to digest, to break down. So it should be much better. First game this week is Cincinnati hosting Tulsa. Cincinnati's 6th ranked since the new college football playoff poll came out. And throughout the whole time they've been in the AP polls, since Alabama and Iowa went down earlier in the season, they've been ranked 2nd. Well, they find themselves dropped to 6th. They find that very disrespectful. You probably already heard they found that disrespectful. So I think that they're going to come out with fire, with passion. The last 2 weeks they played one-win teams in Navy and Tulane and really didn't play all that great. So this week I think they come out there looking like a new team and they come out and destroy Tulsa. The next game, stepping into the SEC, Missouri traveling to take on the top-ranked Bulldogs of Georgia. Georgia's 38.5-point favorite, and we all know Georgia's going to win, barring some crazy upset, which I really doubt. 38.5 points, that's the spread. That seems kind of high. Not that I don't think Georgia's defense can keep Missouri from scoring. I don't think Georgia can put up that much. So I think 38 is a good spread, 38 points. That's 38.5. So if Georgia covers, it's late. If they don't cover, it's close. I don't think they cover, but they still have a pretty good chance to do so. Next game, going to travel to Columbia, South Carolina. Florida traveling to take on the Gamecocks. Florida's an 18.5-point favorite. And Florida, just to put it lightly, they're in a mess right now. They're 18.5-point favorites, and South Carolina's not a good team. They nearly lost to Vanderbilt. That was a close game. I think Florida's going to come out here and pretty much take them apart. Florida's 4-4. They really need this win. They're probably still going to make it to a bowl game, but they really won't be in a bowl game that Florida fans would be proud of. So right now, every win is important to build Florida back up to what they were last year. So this should be a very important game. Next, we have Mississippi State, who got thrust into the rankings this week, traveling to take on Arkansas. Arkansas, who has been out of the rankings for the past few weeks. They were really good at the beginning of the season, and they've just slumped. And Mississippi State, they're the only team in the college football playoff poll right now that has beaten 3 teams that are also in that poll after they beat Kentucky, Texas A&M, and NC State. Only team to do that, like I said, right now currently ranked by the College Football Playoff Committee. So that's something interesting. Right now, the thing about it is you have to think, is Mississippi State going to come out there and play like the 17th ranked team in America, or are they going to play like they just got thrust into the position? I think they're going to play like they got thrust into the position. I think they're going to make some mistakes, throw some interceptions, because they really don't run enough to fumble. And I think Arkansas is going to come out there and have a time. It might be a good game for a little bit, but I think Arkansas runs away with it. Arkansas is favored by 5.5. I think they'll cover it. I like Arkansas by 2 touchdowns in this one, and they get up to that margin late. And so that should be a good game. But the reason Mississippi State's not winning that is it's in Fayetteville. If it were in Starkville, I'd have no problem saying Mississippi State was definitely going to win. But like I said, home field advantage is very important, especially for Mississippi State. Next game is a quite interesting matchup. Not so much the 2 teams playing, though it should be a good game for a little bit. It's Liberty. The Flames are traveling to Oxford to take on 16th ranked Ole Miss. Ole Miss is a 9.5-point favorite. The real story here, Hugh Freeze is coming back to town to take on Ole Miss. Now, who has the most pressure? Ole Miss to beat their former coach, or Hugh Freeze to beat his former team? That's a good question, and I don't know. So this could go either way. I mean, if the pressure is all on Ole Miss and they don't perform, it's going to be a real tight game. If the pressure's on Liberty, it's going to be a blowout for Ole Miss. Really don't know that. It's really something you can't predict. So I think it'll be a good game for a little bit. But I think Ole Miss just has too much depth, too many players. Liberty's a small school. They just got promoted out of the FCS a few years ago. They're just not where they need to be to knock off an SEC school, so I don't think they win. Now, will this be last year's Liberty team? Who knows? But right now, I don't think that they're going to beat Ole Miss. Next, we have the Tennessee Volunteers traveling to take on Kentucky at Kroger Field. Kentucky's a 1.5-point favorite, and this should be a very good game. Tennessee, they have a good offense. Their defense has a few question marks, and Kentucky is a question mark. Are they good like they were before they played Georgia, or do they play like they did against Mississippi State? It's a very good question, and really, Kentucky is either going to show up or they're not. I think they're going to show up here. Tennessee, like I said, good offense, but this is at Kroger Field. Kentucky has the home field advantage. I think that's going to help them, and I think they win to a field goal to a touchdown. That's going to help them cover because the spread is so low. So I think Kentucky's going to come out and win and cover. Next, you've got LSU traveling to Tuscaloosa to take on Alabama, who's ranked second. And Alabama's 28.5-point favorite. LSU is really not where they need to be. They're not going to beat Alabama, so I think Alabama's going to win. They're going to cover too. But the thing is, this is also a revenge game for Alabama. Sure, Alabama beat LSU last year, but they still remember the last time LSU came to town in that excellent game, and I think that's going to really help them. Alabama's got one problem, and that's with their defense. They allow too many chunk plays. I heard this stat a while ago about that Tennessee game on October the 23rd. Alabama allowed 351 yards of total offense in that game. Tennessee ran 54 plays. The 3 plays for Tennessee that went over 20 yards equaled 171 of those 351 yards. That means on the 51 other plays, Tennessee only gained 180 yards. So chunk plays is something Alabama really has to work on. Alabama had the bye week to work on it, but LSU also had a bye week to work on it as well. So who's going to come out there and play well? That's who's going to cover. I think Alabama's defense had the bye week, like I said. I think that's going to help them, and I think they'll be able to shut down LSU for the most part. So that's why I have Alabama covering. Next is a very intriguing game, and it's very important with the SEC West race. Alabama, clear number 1 right now, only 1 loss. That's the Texas A&M. Texas A&M, 2 losses. Auburn, 1 loss. This is conference. Auburn's lost 2 overall. But this is an important game. This determines the second place position. If Auburn wins this game, they're second place clearly. They have 1 conference loss. Then they're tied with Alabama for first place, and that matchup in Jordan-Hare is going to determine SEC West champion. All right, Auburn usually plays good in that situation. Texas A&M wins this game. They have to have Alabama. Alabama has got to lose 1 more game for them to take that first place spot. So it's really an interesting situation. And it's at Texas A&M. I'd have no trouble picking Auburn if it were at Jordan-Hare. But it's at Texas A&M. Does Texas A&M use that home field advantage to their advantage? I don't know. Auburn is very good with an SEC West spot on the line. So I think Auburn's going to come out there, play well. Texas A&M is a favorite in this game by 4.5 points. But that's probably home field right there, giving them that advantage. So I think Auburn's going to come out and play well. It's going to be an excellent game the whole way through. But I think in the end, Auburn's going to find a way to win and prevail. These games are much better than the ones I had last week. Should be some pretty good matchups in here. So watch the action. Enjoy. See you next week. And finally, I want to thank the Daily Mountain Eagle for hosting me. Always good to be here. See you next week, folks. Goodbye.